Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hump Day edition of The Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast. But as we know, I do not do this program by myself.
You do not. I give you the best assistance I can, coming to you from the East Coast, the coastest with the mostest. I am your co-host, Mike Piwowarski.
Folks, I want to apologize for yesterday. Unfortunately, sometimes things come up, when you're trying to handle your business, and this is one of several ventures. So, fortunately, we were not able to do the program live yesterday. But hey, that just means we're going to have to double our efforts today.
It's just weird, Craig, because we started the program. We were ready to go. We were doing our tests because I was the one that was remote yesterday. I was sitting it was a beautiful shot. I was sitting in the hangar, had helicopter, jet, propeller planes all sitting behind me, and everything was running good. And then every time we tried to hit start and go live, it failed. It failed over and over again. And so, folks, I failed you, and I apologize. And please, feed the starving pygmies down there in New Guinea.
Exactly. So, see, this is our. I guess you could call this our Afghanistan.
Yes.
But at least we owned it, right?
That's right. Oh, I thought you were talking about our pullout game. Okay, because it's.
Oh well, as a father of two and a father of one.
Oh no! See, that's not what I was talking about. But you do whatever you got to do, sir. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Okay, we'll move right along. Any special plans for Hump Day?
Should we restart so we can keep our viewers?
We'll just keep going. We'll be fine.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So, any special plans for Hump Day?
Work. I've got a couple of events coming up this weekend. 2 events this weekend, so it's trying to get prepped for them. So it's definitely turn on the jets here today on Wednesday Hump Day and Thursday, trying to make things happen.
Well, for me, it's going to be very interesting. So, it's funny because we've got the AmCon coming up this weekend. Just last weekend, by the way. By the way, I just want to say you did a phenomenal job in your presentation at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. And looking forward to what you have to say at MCon this weekend. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be there live, but you will be, right?
I will be there live, and it's actually kind of weird because I'm going to Dallas to do this live, and you're the Dallas Cowboy fan and have the chance to come see the Cowboys, or you're not coming to see the Cowboys this weekend. So
I know. It was all in the works, and then my wife reminded me that this is your granddaughter's birthday, right? And, I don't know about y'all, but when my wife vetoes something, she vetoes it. And that's kind of just how it is. And I'm okay with that.
How old is the granddaughter going to be?
She's going to be 3.
See, they're still barely remembering that. You could have skipped it.
That's father logic and grandfather logic. Husband logic is, happy wife, happy life.
See, but you could have, because your wife is also getting to be the same age you are. So what you could have done is just photoshopped yourself into the picture and then told your wife a week later you were there, and she'd have been like, I guess he must have been there. It's in the
We're not that old. Our memory is not quite that bad yet.
It's California. I just figured everybody was high all the time with all the weed in the air out there.
Depending on where you're at. Downtown Sacramento, that's a possibility. But, we're not downtown.
There's always the forest fires going on out there in California. I just figured it was weed burning the whole time.
Oh, yeah. You never know what's in the forest these days.
Exactly.
All right. So, hey, let's move right along on to the news. So, yesterday, in case you guys weren't paying attention, was the first day of hearings for where the top brass went before the Senate and explained what was going on with Afghanistan and with the pullout. And there was a very interesting thing that was noted. Now, you might remember Joe Biden said that he listened to his military advisors and his specific words, nobody told him that we shouldn't pull out. Everybody was for pulling out. For pulling out of Afghanistan. But yet, 2 military generals, McKenzie and as well as Milley, both said that they believed that there should be at least some force left behind, about 2,500 troops. Now, in the president's defense, they did kind of say, well, but we're not going to tell you exactly what we advised the president because that's that's supposed to be secret. We're not supposed to tell you. Come on, Mike. What do you think of that what's the word I'm looking for? That mealy-mouthed explanation.
Listen, as I told you before, I don't believe any of these people involved have any bit of a spine or backbone whatsoever. All about saving themselves and saving their own career. The president, if the president says he doesn't recall them telling him to leave out behind a force at all, that's because that's probably exactly what he remembers. He barely remembers, tying his shoes, and the only thing he's trying to remember is when's tapioca served. These two generals probably playing on that, going, "Oh yeah, oh no, we told them to leave 2,500." It was very convenient that they both had exactly the same story with exactly the same number for exactly the same reason. I think they're definitely playing on the lack of the president's memory, and they know that, and they would rather the news media say to themselves, "Okay, well, we don't want to go after Joe, so we'll just forget what the general and the secretary told us."
All right, so you think that they told him that it would be fine if we just pulled all our troops out. You don't think that Biden ignored them?
I think that Milley and the Secretary of Defense said, "What do you want to do, Mr. President? Because that's what we want to do too."
Well, I would guess there was probably a combo of that. I think what part of it was before they even said anything about leaving 2,500 troops behind, the president probably told them, "Look, we're pulling out. I need you to advise me on how we should do that." And that's what they did.
I really don't think he said that. And again, I don't think he's leading the office of president. So whoever's told them. So whoever's acting.
Someone told them that.
Yeah. So whoever's acting as president told them, "I want everybody out." That's
yes.
It. I want everybody out.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts that's exactly what happened. Because once again, Joe Biden would not. I don't want to put this. I don't believe that he's running things. I believe that they're controlling what information comes to him.
Yes.
And when he says that nobody advised him on that, I think somebody advised the president's staff. And the president's staff said, "Well, we're not leaving anybody. So you come to us with a plan on how we pull out and pull everybody out." And they came up with the best plan they could. Instead of, at that point, in front of the president, once they had the presidency here, they should have said, "Mr. President, we need to leave some troops behind."
Yes, but you can't do that, right? When the president doesn't tell you this. When the staff comes to you or whoever is operating the office of the president comes out and says, "I want everybody out," how do you, as the general... Now, the general, and I think in the Secretary of Defense, have different alternatives there. The general just has to say, okay, because who's he going to argue with, right? There's nobody on his staff there. He's not a member of that staff. He just happens to be the guy left behind with the most stars, all right?
Right.
The Secretary of Defense is on that staff. So he's probably just going to say, "Listen, I'm part of this plan anyway. I'm part of the plan to pull people out." The general's just got to go, "Well, even if I wanted to argue, who the hell would I argue with? Nobody knows who's in charge here."
Well, so now that goes to the point actually of our second story. You guys all know there was the lieutenant colonel who posted the video on, I think it was LinkedIn, basically asking for accountability from his superiors for the debacle that was the removal or the pulling out from Afghanistan. And not only and he knew that he would be relieved of his command, that he would possibly face being removed from the military, and they've just fully gone after him. But initially they told him, "Well, you need to shut up." And when he didn't shut up, they've now, Mike, put him in the brig. Now, this is the sort of accountability that I would have liked to have seen these generals do. If you said that, if you advised against or you didn't believe it was the right thing to do, why didn't you, before the president or before these, put your stripes on the line, or your stars in this case on the line, and say, "Look, this is a bad idea"?
Because as I've told you before, with this current staff, with this current, whether it's the the Commandant of the Marine Corps, whether it's the Chief of Naval Operations, the Army Chief of Staff, the Air Force Chief of Staff, the Coast Guard Commandant, the Space Forces Commanding General now, that every one of them is in it for themselves and themselves only. All right. They had a little saying in the military, it used to be mission first, soldiers always. Well, we've forgotten about that soldiers always part. And the mission first is for me to keep my job. This is what's going on. We saw this go on over the Obama years, and it took Trump every day of 4 years to try and combat that. And we only got a little bit close. Okay. And now it's right back to where it is. These individual scums of commanders, of leaders that have no respect for the mission or for the soldiers themselves, do not care. Otherwise, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller would be sitting at home right now waiting for his administrative trial to begin. All right. He is being held in detention because he's given his opinion on the catastrophic military failures of our Marine Corps and our Army and our Department of Defense and South Command and North Command. It's everybody else, because he's gone public with it. If anybody up there, anybody had the gall. We saw what happened when an admiral ran to go up against President Trump. And guess what happened? Admiral relieved, reassigned. Your commander-in-chief says you do, and this is the military tone I want to set, and I want heroes to be honored. That's what you do. Now you have the same going on, and you got generals and admirals with their thumbs up their asses, and the president has no idea what's going on.
Well, you know, Mike, and here's the thing, and two things that really ruffle my feathers. First of all, here's the thing. The first thing that I am proud of with this Lieutenant Colonel that's really is he said in the video, and he knew that he would be punished for doing what he did, but he believed it was the right thing to do, so he did it. And number one, I fully honor and acknowledge the fact that this was a guy who's willing to sacrifice his career in order to see that there is accountability. But the other thing is, Mike, now think about this. In all of the debacle and everything that's happened, he's the only one that is being held accountable for anything. He's the only one that's been relieved of his command. He is the only one who's looking and facing charges. He's the only one that's been thrown in the brig. The one person who was not only asking for accountability, but was willing to be held accountable himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so people know, I mean, he's being charged with, disorderly and then failure to follow orders kind of stuff. He's not going to be thrown into prison for any length of time. I mean, he could get, 6 months, he could get a year, that kind of thing. He's not going to be charged with the military level of a felony. He's not refusing to go to war. He's not going to, be charged with a death sentence, anything like that. The only death sentence is to his career. He knew that from the first time he opened his mouth on video. He's got 17 and a half years, I think it is. So not eligible for retirement. He attempted to resign. They refused to take it. And he's making the point. He's making the issue. Now, I'll tell you what, in 3 more years, if and when we get a Republican back in office, Colonel Scheller here has got quite the opportunity to be the next Chief of Naval Operations, or to be the Commandant of the Marine Corps, or more than likely Secretary of the Navy.
Wow, that would be phenomenal. But like I said, it is astounding to me the lack of credibility, accountability, and morals of not just this administration, but our military leadership. Let me throw in their backbone. It's sad, and then we start to wonder, literally, you think about it, we didn't lose in Afghanistan. We did exactly what we meant to be there to do, which was keep attacks from occurring on American soil. And the very fact that the Taliban is back and they're stronger than ever is simply because we surrendered.
We didn't surrender, Craig. We just left.
We just left. Right.
Literally just left. I mean, we didn't even pull the old, hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and run out on the check. We just told everybody, hey, just so you know, at the end of the meal, we're leaving and we ain't paying. We announced it ahead of time, that we were going to do this. President Biden lost a 20-year war. Right. I'm not trying to blame the entire thing on him, but all he had to do was keep, and you and I said it on here. I said 3,000. It looks like now the generals are saying 2,500 to 3,500 stability troops right there. And that's just enough that would
Right.
have kept the Taliban and ISIS from taking over the country. I told you this country was ready to give it up. The first
Right.
day I was there, I knew they were ready to give it up. The first time somebody with a board with a nail in it showed up and said, I'm in charge. And that's exactly what happened. Okay. And all we had to do is just like we've done with Iraq. We tried
Yep.
that, right? In Iraq. Oh, we're going to leave. And ISIS came in and we said,
Right.
okay, we're going to put some soldiers back there. And now you heard anything out of Iraq recently? No, because they know that there's enough soldiers down there to call in all their brothers and sisters and bring in the smackdown. Well, that's all we had to do in Afghanistan. And guess what? Screwed the pooch, didn't we?
Well, and that's the thing, and you and I've said this. The point is by having that small contingent of troops there reduces the likelihood that we're going to have to deal with attacks here, and that's what in essence that's what we're now going to start to do. That is now going to be a jumping off point for attacks on both our allies throughout the Middle East, in Europe, and here in the United States, as God knows who is pouring across our southern border.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right.
Because we have no control
there, right? We know that. We have no control there. So
Yep.
Good point. All right, moving right along. Kind of in the military field. So you guys know, now this is what's weird. So you remember New York, right? New York was the hotbed for the longest time of COVID-19. It was the place where infections were the highest and deaths were the highest for the longest time. In the first few months, it was really bad. Of course, you also had a governor there who was sending, infected people into nursing homes, and creating, mass casualties. But on the front lines there were first responders, and particularly nurses and doctors who were in New York hospitals there helping and trying to save lives, right? Well, many of them who actually, some of whom caught COVID, some of whom who didn't, many of them have decided that, especially if they already had it, that they had natural immunity and that they were not going to get the vaccine. And so as a result, they didn't want to get the vaccine because they knew that they didn't need to get the vaccine because they had natural immunity. Well, now many of them are on track too, and I believe they've started actually firing some of those because now they've made it mandatory for all healthcare workers there in New York to get the vaccine. They've started relieving these heroes of their duties, basically firing them. And now they're talking about bringing in the National Guard in order to replace these hero nurses who have been fired because they would not get the vaccine.
Yeah, it's Governor, Kathy Hochul there up in New York State, the new governor. She has, and it's as of last night at midnight, Craig, so what's that, 15 or so hours ago, that there's been several hundred of these medical professionals that have been suspended. Now, they don't get into particulars. I don't know if they've been suspended from the jobs, because if they're private hospitals, I don't know how they can do that, or if the governor has suspended their medical licenses, because even nurses and paramedics get licenses, not just doctors. Not sure. I haven't seen those details yet, how they've done it. I don't know how she could order a private institution to fire someone, as she said she wanted done. So we'll see how that works out. Now, she does control the National Guard. She's the commander-in-chief of the New York State National Guard and New York State Militia Forces. Now, in the Guard, they'll have fully certified to active duty military standards, medical professionals, doctor, nurses, medics, everything like that. But I'll tell you this, Greg, looking at the numbers of the medical professionals in the state, the civilians, the ones that have been fired, they're averaging about 90% vaccination rate. So you get about 90% vaccinated. Now, that's the initial vaccinations. I have no idea what's going on with the booster shots because those are just becoming available. But you got 90%. I'll tell you what's going on in the military, Craig. You know what that rate in the military is? Still just barely holding over 50% vaccinated. So when she goes to draw on those medical battalions there in New York, she's going to find she's in the same problem. And guess what? Those medical professionals don't just have to pay attention to the state laws. They've got the federal laws and federal recourse and much more opportunity to fight back against the governor and the mandatory vaccinations or lose your job kind of thing. So this is going to be interesting because those medical people, being federal representatives as well as state representatives as a National Guard, you serve a dual role, have the ability to go straight to a federal appellate court. searching for an injunction against illegal introduction of foreign substances into the body.
Well, that's actually some very good news. I just think it's funny that you're willing to uh, force people to inject something into their body, and they're the medical professionals. I mean, if
Yes.
anybody has a reasonable reason to say to know or an understanding of what works, what doesn't work, you would think it would be the medical professionals who've been dealing with this on the ground at the epicenter here in the United States. Maybe you should trust their judgment, or at least give them some credit. First of all, the idea of the vaccine mandates mandating staff or at schools, students or employees to get these vaccines, especially when you already know that, first of all, if they've already had it, we already know they have natural immunity. And so far, it's funny because you watch the public figures in the medical community, everyone completely ignores in this whole vaccination debate natural immunity. No one talks about it. And I'm like, if you want to address it, then you either need to debunk it or you need to acknowledge it. But they're not doing either. And it makes you wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, control, right? What do you have to do about, what are you worried about more? I'm not, Greg, I've heard all the conspiracy theories out there. There's nucleotides and nanites in the shots and tracking devices. So they can, you know what? It's all about control. They don't even care what's in the shot yet. It's you do what I tell you or you lose your job.
Well, exactly. And it's all over the place. As you know, we are currently suspended from YouTube because we dared to question the mainstream media and they're basically bullying or scaring people into getting the vaccine. So we were banned from our YouTube channel. So from the Rundown YouTube channel, you may still be, which is odd that we're still on, other YouTube channels where this is being broadcast. But on the Rundown, we actually got suspended.
Well, hey, at least we're making a name for ourselves, right? At least they're taking notice.
Yeah. Well, I never actually spent any significant time in Facebook jail. So I guess YouTube prison is, kind of like federal prison as opposed to YouTube jail.
Yeah, that's hard time with no appeal. That's you're gonna serve every day, sir.
I know you've been in Facebook jail. Did you get any jail tats while you were in Facebook jail?
I did. I got little. You can see them. I got makeup covering them up right now, but instead of tears, they're little F's that come down from your eye every time.
Little thumbs ups.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. So here's another interesting story. So last night, and this is really kind of a changing of the topics, but last night, Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe. Wow, I'm just totally messing up his name. Terry. Anyway, so he's the former governor of Virginia. Now he's running for governor in Virginia. And last night in a debate, and I'm assuming that I only caught the soundbite part. I didn't catch what came before it, but I'm guessing it had to do with critical race theory. And you had Terry McAuliffe, once again, former chairman of the National Democratic Party, former governor of Virginia, running for governor of Virginia. So this is a Democratic candidate, who basically said, yeah, parents shouldn't be telling schools what they teach. What?
Yeah, I'm not sure what. I'm trying to look real quick, see what was preceding that. He flat out said that. I'm trying to get you the quote here for it. He said, "I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach." Says, "I don't think parents should be telling schools what they teach." All right, did you catch that, folks? We also don't want you to monitor us. We're also not going to tell you what we're teaching. We're not going to put up big cameras. We're not going to send home any curriculums. We're just going to teach them what we want to teach them. That way, when they come home all brainwashed, we know how they're going to vote for us when they turn 18 years old. Never happened before? No, it never happened anywhere before, right? So you want to know how you want to know how the current generation is trending the way they're trending because of exactly these kind of things. You want to know how you make radicals because you teach them you teach them this kind of nonsense, and they rebel and say, "No, we're not going to do that." So that's why it's why you get such diametrically opposed, on the political front right now. We used to be able to sit down and have a conversation about politics. Greg, remember we used to have friends that were Democrats? You can't even do that anymore. It's a fight. It's it's a throwdown, knockout, brawl every time you want to have a conversation about politics, because guess where they're getting that from? Guess where it's being taught as acceptable when it comes to it, because it's life and death, and you have to do all this nonsense. So
exactly. They're being taught that, first of all, if you don't believe what they believe, well, then you're let's see, you're evil, you're racist. You obviously must be racist. That's the one they use to shut down everything. Yeah. Everything that is against what they want is racist.
Yeah.
But dude, I heard him say that. Now, you know me, man, dude. I sit on a school board, and I'm like this. Parents are the primary educators of our children, right? Yes. They're the ones that are primarily responsible for how our kids start out, and as parents, we delegate that responsibility, part of that responsibility, to the schools. Now, that doesn't mean that we abdicate our responsibility. We still have to make sure that they are being taught what they're supposed to be taught. Values you learn at home, right? You don't go to school to learn your values, mores, religious principles, yada, yada, yada. That's not what you send someone to school for. In fact, the original public schools were established to teach children how to read so that they could read the Bible. Just so that you know this, folks, just so that you folks know this. But even that, it's not about religious indoctrination or anything like that. It's about making sure that you know how to read, you know how to write, and you can do math or arithmetic, reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's why we send you there. We've added science, but what they're now doing is now they're trying to indoctrinate our kids, and parents are standing up and they're saying, no, we don't want you doing that. And here's the thing. That's what the left wants. They want to control every aspect of it. There's a reason why they want to serve your child breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because they want them there more. There's a reason why they want universal preschool, because they want your kids earlier in life. There's a reason why like you said, they don't want the cameras in the schools, because they don't want you to know what they're teaching, right? And I'm not saying that's everybody in education, but I'm saying that there are enough of those folks in education that are a problem that you should not turn your back. And I don't care if you send your kids to a private school. I promise you it is there too.
Listen, if my police officer has to wear a camera, then I believe there should be a camera in every classroom as well. I'm not saying we get to call every teacher and go, I saw you say this. No, it's just like with the police department. You got a problem, you complain to the school board or to the school or something like that. Let the teacher do their daily jobs. I don't want you to interfere with that, but you should have the ability to see what's being said and what's being taught to those teachers.
Yes, I agree, but here's my problem. If you wait until it's gotten to the classroom, then I'm not saying you're too late, but now you're trying to undo something. If you're paying attention to the school board meetings, then you can stop it before it ever happens.
Yes, I'm there with you, but here's the reason I want this, because the school board will stand up and say something. The teacher and the school itself will stand up and say, this is what we're doing. We're teaching the 3 R's, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic. That's what we're teaching. And then the teacher will turn around with their own agenda and do what they want to in the classroom. So that's what the cameras are for.
Yes.
Same reason they're from the police, right? Because our police departments and our police chiefs say our officers are honorable. They've passed all background checks and everything's good. And then something happens, and guess what? That camera's there to protect one side or the other and show the truth. And that's all we're asking. If you want to stand up in front of your school board.
What you're talking about, Mike, is the cameras are there so that the administration and the board can hold those teachers accountable. And if they don't, then the public holds that school board accountable.
Exactly right.
Right. I'm down with that.
Exactly right. Interesting fact, Craig, do you know why McAuliffe is running again for the governor in Virginia?
No, I do not know.
There's they have term limits on the governor in Virginia there. Do you know what the term limits are in Virginia? And if you don't know,
I don't know.
It just sounded better coming out of my mouth as a question. They have term limits. They have term limits as the governor in Virginia, and they've taken it to such an extreme that the term limits, Craig, are 1 term. You cannot serve consecutive terms as governor in Virginia. So when McAuliffe won the one term, he served his 4-year term and he could not run. Like the current governor is Ralph Northam, right? He cannot run for governor again next term because he cannot serve consecutive terms. So they have a one-term governor limit, but they can come back and run for other terms as long as it's non-consecutive terms.
Ah, okay. So we could see Mr. Governor in blackface, running again one day.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, yeah. And
Ah,
again, all of this lack of freedom from a state where, well, remember George Washington was from there, and everybody else, and remember the first governor of Virginia was Patrick Henry. So,
well, I think a big part of it is all of the government workers that basically live there that travel to D.C. every day to go to work.
yes,
I really believe that's it. It's literally the infestation of the government bureaucrat that is what keeps Virginia from being free.
exactly right. Exactly right.
All right, well, let's move on to today's parting shot. You guys all know this story. We've told you this a million times, but it also fits in not just with not just with Afghanistan and the Taliban, but with our right to keep and bear arms. Well, this is an example of range day, except if hold on, I got to readjust this photo here real quick. Okay, this is range day, but hold on. Oh man, I got this all messed up. I got it kind of cropped a little funky, and I need to fix it. Hold
He
on
got the
just a
funky
second.
crop. That's all right. Let me tell you about grid defense and guerrilla machining while he's recropping. You get your finest variety of America's rifle parts. So you check it. In fact, I happen to have one of them right here in front of me. I'm going to have to be playing with a nice bolt carrier group from our good friends over at Grid. Excuse me, this is from Guerrilla Manufacturing. Guerrilla Manufacturing
Nice, nice.
as their bolt carrier group. So check out our good friends at Machining, Guerrilla Machining, and Grid Defense.
Excellent. Okay, I got it. I got it. Oh,
That was like 30 seconds of stall there. You should be ready by now.
That was actually very, very good. There we
And
go.
the
Bam.
California People's Republican Party. Don't forget
There
that
we go. Apologize, that's a little off, but yeah, when it's range day, but you've given all your guns to the Taliban.
I just gave them all. Oh man. Damn it. There you go.
That's anyway. It's funny because, like I said, I still love all the memes, in particular the ones about, look, I forget the second. I want my Second Amendment right to have to have my government provide me with the same arms that they provided to the Taliban.
That's right. Exactly right. I'll take some of them A-26 attack planes. Yeah.
I just thought yesterday how it was odd that you still had the leaders of the military trying to call that a logistical success.
Well, sure, because now they don't have to count it. Yeah. You can think of all the free time they have. They don't have to do the inventory on all that stuff now.
Well, but I'm just like, in what world? I mean, one only has to look back and say, in what world can you possibly say that was a success?
Oh, you have to understand how the military operates, Craig. This is 600,000 less rifles we have to clean this month in this cycle. So now we got all this extra time. We can use soldiers to do other things like cut grass and paint rocks, and we don't have to worry about doing the maintenance on those vehicles. So we just saved a ton of money on maintenance costs. Oh man, military just made out. We got a bunch more free time on our hands now.
Wow. On that note, that's going to be it for today's episode of The Rundown. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We will soon be back on YouTube. So those of you who are used to watching us over on YouTube. By the way, if you prefer to watch us on YouTube, you can also find us at 2A News. You can find us at Arms Room Radio. You can find us at both of those places there on YouTube. If you want to watch us on Facebook, we're still at The Rundown. Make sure you're there because when we do Feedback Friday, that's where we're looking for comments. But you can also watch us, once again, 2A News, Arms Room Radio. We're all over the place.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Talk to y'all later. See you tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday.
Have a good one.